Hello everyone. In this video, I'll be talking about some functions of MS Excel that are going to help you in analytics. In video 1, I have talked about introduction. In video 2, I have talked about pivot table tools and how some descriptive statistics question or descriptive analytics questions can be answered using pivot tables. Today, I'll be talking about certain Excel functions: Countif, Countifs, AverageIf, AverageIfs, SumIf, SumIfs, VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, Index, and Match function. I'll tell you the purpose of these functions, where they can be used, and I'll try to take certain examples out of it. This is the data set right on your screen, which I'll be using. It's the same data set which I have used in my first couple of lectures. And in this particular data set, for my convenience, the first thing I've done is I've named certain columns. So if you see right here from the cell, I have named a column called age. I have named something called gender. So I've named these columns, I've named income and location. So I'll tell you how to name a column if you want to name one. So you can select, let's say, one column. I've selected column F. You can see what kind of cursor I'm using, this black down arrow. And I can simply go to the cell address bar, and here I can simply write expenses, hit enter, and that's it. The name has been recorded. So if you see from drop down here, here is the expenses and the entire column gets selected. The facility associated with this thing is that I can call this column anywhere in my workbook on any sheet. Let's talk about first Countif and Countif as functions. So you can see that I'm going to use Countif function and Countif as function. So what is the use of Countif function? Countif is going to be used in order to count all possible entries in the particular column and their frequency. So if I say count of gender, so if I go to my data set back, there are males and females. So there are two type of entries in this entire data set. So countif function is going to be used to count the number of males and females in this data set or this column. Same thing can be used by using pivot table, and this is another way of doing it, countif function. So my first job is to understand that I can pop up a unique list of entries in dataset. What do I mean by is in this data column of gender, there are males and females. Two different type of entries are there. So first thing is listing down those particular entries. So one thing is I can manually type male and female, right? But it leads to a lot of different things. That means there are two entries. Easily I have typed male and female. What if there are 6, 7, 8 entries? So all the entries need to be typed manually. Again, there is a challenge of mismatch of font, mismatch of I would say the size, and the Excel sometimes doesn't pick up right from the data set. So what I'll do is I'll use a inbuilt function of advanced filter, and I'll fetch the data right from the column for which I want to use the countif function. So I'll go to the data tab, data ribbon right here, and there I called an advance and the list range because I want to see count that how many different entries in gender are there. So I'll just see that what are the different names. So my list range is this in data set. This is gender. Gender is my list range. So rather than simply, selecting the data for the entire thing from there, what I'll use is I'll facilitatively will be using the particular name which I have given. So I'll use my function F3 key to see what are the different field names I have created, and I'm going to select double click gender on. So it list range is gender, criteria range is like, so I'm going to click on copy to another location, right? And I'm going to choose a cell here. Let us suppose I want to paste all the unique entries right here. I'll click on unique records only. There's no criteria range. I'll leave it blank as it is, and I click OK. And you can see, and immediately it shows me there are three different or unique entries are there in the particular data set in the gender column. One is of course the column heading, which was gender right here on the top, and then there were two more entries, male and female. So since this particular data is fetched from the field itself, so there is no point of mismatching of fonts and anything. And simply I'm going to put something called frequency here. That means number of males and females in the data set. And here I'm going to use my countif function first of all. So I'll start typing in countif. and I can go down using my arrow keys, press the tab key. First is ask for range, that in which range I want to check. So I know my range is gender, so I start typing it and the gender appears on the top, and or simply I can reuse the first command which I've told you. You can press function F3, double click on gender, and that's it. So the range is given. Now next thing is criteria. In gender, I want to search how many males are there. So I just click one cell to my left, close parentheses, hit enter, and it tells me there are 860 males are there in the data set. And I can simply pull this particular thing down and it gives me the number of females. You can double click and see it is counting females as it was, right? So that's the entry. I want to check the total of males and females. I can select one cell extra and press Alt equals to get that particular total 1024. So that's about Countif function. You can calculate the percentage frequency here also, percentage frequency if you want to calculate. So I simply select both the cells equal to 816 divided by the total. And I'm to freeze this cell by pressing function F4 because I'm to use it throughout. And instead of pressing enter, I press control enter. And I simply go to home and convert it into percentage. That's it. I can increase decimal sizes from here or reduce them and check what the percentage frequency of males and females are. Let us do another countif s function. Now I'm going to use countif s function. This time, my question or my problem is to understand that at different location, how my subscriber of gender subscribers are distributed. That means how many males and females are at different locations, and how many males and females are in different locations. Sorry, the same thing. So I'm going to make use of gender and the location, two different columns from here. So I want to see how many males are in rural, how many males are in suburban, how many males are in urban, and also the females in these particular areas. So I'll use the same filter button once again so that I do not mess up with the fonts or anything. So I'll go to data, I'll go to advanced and copy to another location, list range, function F3. So first thing I want to fetch is gender. So I'll click on gender, click OK, and I'm to copy it somewhere here. Let's say unique records only. Don't forget to check that. It's very important. Click OK. All right. Okay. So this got messed up right here. So I'm going to press function F3, gender double clicked, and click OK. Okay. I didn't get the list. So I'll redo the thing once again. Data, advanced, and copy to another location, list range, function F3, going to go to gender, copy to this, B5, so I'll select, let's say here, oh, sorry. I'm extremely sorry. I'm taking too much time to do that. Well, it could have been done real fast. So I'll simply check in here and then, okay, undo it again. So I'm going to go to data, advanced, and I'll press function F3 to get the list. Gender, copy to another location. Instead of B5, I'll select I5, unique records only, click OK. Yes, gives me the list. Now I want to pick up the location, so I'm going to put location here. So let me see how many entries are there in location. So I'll simply go to data once again, advanced. I'll press function F3 once again. And this time I'm going to select location, copy to another location. And let me paste it at some other place here. Unique records, okay. It gives me three locations, rural, suburban, urban. So I'm going to select three of them, right click, and then I'm going to copy this particular thing, all the location entries. And what I'm going to do is carefully watch it. I right click, paste special, and then I click on transpose. And I click OK. Yes, it pastes the locations here. I'm going to modify it a bit. So, and then I will write location. Right, seems to be a good cross step now. That means I have three locations right here. The rural, suburban, urban, male and female. Let me make it a table like entry, then select all borders, seems good to me. So I'll pop up all these cells in one. So I select all of them at once, start putting equal to countifs. Now see that it asks me for criteria range 1. So my first range in gender, criteria 1. I want to see how many, okay. So criteria range 1. And then I want to check it how many males are there. Then criteria range 2. And the criteria range 2 is pretty simple. It is location. So either I start typing location and it comes up, or I can use my function F3 key and select location here, right? And in this, I want to check that how many people are in males are in rural area. Now notice how I'm going to lock these particular cells I6 and I5. Sorry, J6 and J5. Now I6 and J5. So see that. So the formula goes down. That means if it shifts from cell number J6 to J7, I want it to count females. That means I want my row to shift but column to remain fixed. So I'll just freeze the column and I won't freeze the row. I want freeze the row, I'll freeze the column. So that means when the formula is going to go down, the column won't change. It will still be I column in which my gender entries are there. But the row will shift from 6 to 7. That means, and same way I'm going to do for J5. So now you can understand the logic. If the formula goes down, I do not want it to shift the column again, right? I want that I do not want to shift the row, sorry. I want it to be fixed in rural. But if the formula jumps from J6 to K6, I want rural to shift to suburban. That means I want it to shift the column from J to K, but the row should remain this fifth row only. So I have to freeze the row here. So I'll put a dollar sign right before it, or you can use function F4 key twice or thrice, and it is going to put the dollar sign here. So I'm going to put the dollar sign, freeze the row. So you can pause the video, re-listen to me what I'm trying to say and see the logic. And I press Control Enter. All my entries gets popped up. And pretty simply, I can understand there are 118 males in rural, 371 in suburban, and in urban 327. If I want to get a total of them, I'll select one row extra, one column extra, and press Alt equals to get all the total. And you can cross verify there are in total 816 males are there, 208 women are there. So in male, the highest number of subscribers are in our suburban area. And in females also, that means suburban is the highest catering category to me. So that is little about Countif and Countif as function. Now let's move to the next function, which is average if and average if as. So to save the time, what I'm going to do is I'll simply pick it up genders from here, and you can practice your advanced filter button once again and check exactly how the things work. Now I want to see that. So what I'm going to use is average age with respect to gender. So if I go back to data, I've got age, I've got gender, but I want to see that what is the average age of males and average age of females. So I'll simply put it average age. Age is a numerical variable. You can see that. So I'm going to simply select both the cells and I'll use the function average if, right? It asks me for range, criteria, and average range. So first range is gender. So I'll start typing in gender. I press the tab key to enter it. Criteria is male here, of course, B7. I'll leave it open. Average range is age. So I've already created that variable name age. Or you can use your function F3 key to see what different names I've created. I close the parenthesis, hit Control Enter, and that's it. It gives me the average age. Average age of males is 35 years. Average of female is, you can double check the formula, is 35.75 years. So I can increase or decrease the decimal size right here, 35 and 36. Sounds pretty good to me. And if you want to do a little cross verification, pretty simply, I'm going to put home filter here, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to only select gender as male, click OK. Select the age column, and I can see right here bottom, see how my cursor is moving, average is 35. So it's a cross verification that whatever I've done is absolutely right. Countif is reading the function absolutely correctly. Let me see once again average income with respect to gender and location. So I can see that average age of female is higher in my data set in comparison to male. So I'll pick this thing quickly from here. So to save the time, nothing more. So I'm going to paste it here really simply. And then let me shift it. And this time my objective is to calculate the average income of males and females with respect to, sorry, average age, average income, I'm sorry, with respect to gender and location. This is what I'm going to do. So what I have to do is I'll select all cells in one go. This is the fastest way to do it. I'll use average of S this time because I'm using two variables. One is gender, the other is location. It says average range, criteria range 1, criteria 1. So I'm going to set average range. That means with what average I want to calculate. I want to calculate the average of income. So I can simply type income and this yellow envelope pops up here. You can press the tab key to highlight it. Criteria range 1 and then criteria 1. So criteria range 1 is gender and the criteria 1 is male. Remember the last slide? I'm going to freeze only the column, not the row. So I'll use my function F4 key pressing 1. Both things are locked, row and column. Once again I press it. Row is locked. That's not what I want. I press it one more time and the column is locked. So I'm using function 4 F4 thrice to lock the column. The next argument is criteria range 2. So criteria range 2 is location. I know it. And the criteria 2, which is right here in location rural. And you can refer, you can scroll the video back and understand that I'm going to freeze the row here, not the column. Why? The logic is explained a little back. So I'm going to press again my function F4 key. Both cells are locked, row is locked. That's my purpose. Close the parentheses, hit Control Enter, and I get the values. So you can see that on an average, the highest income is in rural area for my data set. I'm not saying it is for this particular county, this particular country or something. But for my data set, the average highest income of males in is in rural area. So that gives me a little insight in analytics that okay, this could be like males of this category, highest income. That seems to be a pretty potential customer for me. And if you see in the female category, the urban area females are making the most amount of money. That means their average income is highest. So if I want to tap the customer, potential customers with respect to income, the females of urban would be tapped on priority and males of rural area would be tapped on priority. So that's an average if and average if s command. And let's go to sumif and sumif s command. Actually, I wanted to leave it to you to practice sumif and sumif s command exactly the same way. But let me just do it quickly, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up male and female from here. Like let me just pick this thing up so save the time. But I would recommend you practice once again that advanced filter function which I have taught you a little before, and total income. So I'll write a total income here. Right, let me calculate total income of male, and sumif is the command, and I hope now you understand it pretty well. So I'm going to put it gender, and yes, gender, male, and the variable which I want to sum is income. I want to sum the income. That's it. So 69043 is the total income earned by male, and total female income is 17080 lakhs probably. And if I press Alt equal to 86123 is the total income. And you can cross verify it. If I just click on the income column right at the bottom, I can see the total income is 86123, which is absolutely same. So that's a cross verification. Now I'm going to calculate using the same particular condition. Let me copy it from here to save the time once again. and I press OK. Control V. Okay, fair. I don't want to use it. So I'm going to use now Sumif as command. That means what is the total income highest? So uh, let me just select all the cells in one go. Sum if S is here, press the tab key. Sum range. So I want to sum the range income and criteria range 1. It's gender here. Once again, I want to freeze the column, not the row. So function F4 once, twice, thrice. And then, of course, the location. And I want to freeze rural. And again, this time I want to freeze the row, not the column. So function F4 once, twice. That's it. Bracket close, control enter, and that's it. Let me cross verify. Alt equals. The total income is 86123. Gives me absolutely same figure as I am getting here. So that's the cross verification, right? Not needed. So you see the total income is highest in which area? Now again, like if you are not comfortable in reading numbers, simply select all this data, press the key, control, okay, alt F1. No, okay, control F1 right now. Okay, just let me check. Function alt F1. Let me just check where my chart. Okay, yes, function alt F1. You can use alt F1 in certain laptops if you want to do it. I'm repeating it, function alt F1, just select the data, use function alt F1. And right now you can see the suburban has the highest total income for males. And just can simply click on red box also and add the data labels. You can give it a nice title, just click on it, press equal to, and select this cell, right? Total income with respect to gender and location. So you can see with chart representation also, which has the highest or lowest function. Okay, let me move to some search functions. I'll be using VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. For convenience, I have used this table right here. I've cut some data from this particular data set. I don't mind if you use this entire data set. I'm happy to go with it. But just so that you can see it right here, you can verify it. So that's why I pasted some portion of it. So what I'm going to do is I'll select this entire data right here of the table. And I am going to name this thing. And I'm going to name this thing, let's say table 1. Hit enter. That's it. So if you select table 1, you can see that entire thing gets highlighted. First thing, I'm going to use a vertical lookup function. So what I want to do is my objective is that I simply put ID of a person and I get all these details right here in this cell. So that's my objective, right? So let me just simply go ahead and fix it up, right? So look what I'm saying is, so if you see age, gender, income, location, expenses, subscriptions. So if I see this entire table set up, look at their column numbers. This is column number 1, column number 2, column number 3, column number 4, column number 5, column number 6, and column number 7. So I have 7 entry in the columns, right? So to keep these particular column numbers, I'll take them right here and paste them right here. So ID is in first column, age is in second column, gender is in third column, income is in fourth, location is in 5, expense is in 6, and subscription type is in 7th. So let's use the VLOOKUP function. So VLOOKUP, lookup value. I want to check the ID right here. ID, whatever ID I'm going to put here, that will be put up manually. Then I am going to use a table array. So I've already given it a name, table array, gets highlighted. Column index number. So I want to select C in this table, this column, second column. What is the second column? Age, right? Now see, if I want to scroll the formula to right, I do not want the row to change. The row to change. That means it should be second. When it formula jumps into the cell C4, that means in the gender cell, it should pick up, instead of B2, it should pick up C2. That means column number third, because gender is in column number 3, and so on. Column number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I do not want the formula to switch the row, but I want it to switch the column every time the formula goes right. So you know what is to be logged. I do not want it to switch row, so it should be freezed. So let me freeze the row. dollar sign right before the row number 2. Then true, that means approximate match, false exact match. I want an exact match. I hit in 0. If I'm going to hit enter, nothing is going to show up in the cell because there is no ID in there. No, okay, let me see 1001. Yes, 72 years of age. Let me scroll the formula, right? Fair enough. Okay, that means there is some formula in the table. Let me check what is going on. C3, exact match, gender, 100. Okay, look at the problem. What is happening? I did not freeze the ID, so it is reading B4, 72, which is not true. So let me fix it up. I'm going to double click the formula right here. So A4, I want this cell to be fixed every single time. So instead of, I'll select this all, function F4, freeze F4, enter. Now I'm going to scroll the formula all the way right. So look at this, 1001, 72, male, income is also 72, rural, 64 expenses, 64 lakhs and basic subscription is taken. 1008, yes, everything changed. 1010, everything changed. So just put the entry and everything is there. You can do one more thing, quick thing here is like in this cell, what you can do is you can go to data and you can create a list in here. So what you can do is you can go to data validation right here and I will say list. So look at this, my cursor is in the same cell. Now list and okay, list, fair enough. Source is this. Let me check it if it works out. And I click OK, fair enough. Now I also have all IDs listed here. So I can select 1003, 109. So what I would recommend you go into this data set, select this entire data, create it as a table, and try to convert on another sheet a VLOOKUP function and check how exactly it works. Let me just see how this HLOOKUP function works, horizontal lookup. So it is a vertical lookup. That means vertically looking up into the column. So let's see how exactly the HLOOKUP function works. So I'll put HLOOKUP value. So I want to see the field name. So in age, let's say, in particular age group, it says table array. So I have selected table 1, row index number. That means if I want to see in age column in 5th row which entry is there. So I probably write, let's say, 5th row number, and I want an exact match. I click OK, and look at this, it is showing not applicable because I have not entered anything here. But if I enter age, it shows me 25. So 1 2 3 4 5, fifth number there is 25. It's counting from the top. So if I change the row number, that means if, let's say, what is in the 8th row, let's see, 18 years right here, 18, right? So if you want to see, so you can fix up row number here. So that means, let us suppose I am saying I'm putting up row numbers here. Now instead of giving typing it 8 or something, I can give it a cell reference which is C10, right? C10. So okay, now if I change the rows here, first one is age, of course, because it starts counting from here. Then the second row, then the third row, and then the fourth row, or whatever it is, right? You can keep it for all the field names right here. So what I am trying to say here is, let me just see what best I can do. So let me give a little modification here. I'll freeze this C10 and I'll press function F4 to freeze it, right? Fair enough, looks good. I'm going to scroll the formula down. So I have 7 field names. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7, right? This is ID. The first one is ID, then it's age, then it's gender, then it's income, and then it's location, then it's expenses. Okay, expenses, EXPENSES. Okay, let me copy it. So in that case, it will be working fine. And okay, that was expenses in lakhs. So that's why it didn't work. And then subscription type. So let me copy it. In fact, that would look good. So look at this. If in the data I want to see my sixth row entry, so I just change it sixth. Every data you can get. First row entry as it is. Second row entry. Third row entry. Fourth row entry, and so on. So that is VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP function for you. Depending on the type of facility you want to use, it is very handsome function to be used. Okay. So I'm going to go to index function now. What index function does actually, it is a compound index which I'm using right now. It is going to fetch you that in a particular row and in a particular column, which entry is there. So you can see index table array. This time I have not given it a name. I have selected the table, the row number and column number. That's it. Two entries I have to give. So if I simply see fifth row, sixth column. So look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth row and sixth column, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 47 is the entry right here. And seventh column, it should reflect basic. So this is about index function. That means a particular row and particular column, what particular entry lies. If you have a cell number, you can simply fetch what exactly is the entry there. The last function, which is the easiest one, is the match function, and it tells you that, let's say, an entry is at what number. So let's see how exactly the match function works. I'm going to highlight it just a minute. So match whatever entry I'm going to make here in A4 in this particular table and see an exact match. So what I see is, let us suppose I selected income as a column, right? And in income, I write something like, see that, if I'm writing something like 68. So 68 is at third position in the table. So if you see 68, it is telling me that it is a third position, 1, 2, and 3. The confusion is there are two 62s. So it will stop at the first one. So if I write it, let's say 62. So it will tell me it is at fifth position, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So where exactly this match function is used, in fact, so in a data set, if you there is a large data set and you want to see at which location, if you want to probably award the people or do something, that at what place this particular entry is appearing, so you use the match function. So thank you very much. This is it about some advanced Excel functions, and in next uh, particular video, I'll be completely using what if analysis. Thank you very much.